New game. New game. New game. New game. New game. Use stylized fonts. Use easy read fonts. Got it? Player says, and the abbot said to me, Andreas. Option 1 of 3, the glossary. Option 2 of 3, I need you to finish this commission by the end of April. Option 3 of 3, keep your conversations with Brother Piero to a minimum. Beatrice says Brother Piero is such a source of wisdom and encouragement for you. Go. Options. Language. Resolution. Master volume. High contrast. High contrast. Instant dial. Text size. Photo sensitivity. Notification. Voice assist. Voice assist volume. Voice assist. Voice assist speed. Options. Socrates says indeed, but the rule of the Christian contemplative life demands that the brothers not engage in idle chatter. Saint Grobian says Jesus Christ, what a pack of dullards. Be happy you're only stuck there for a few more months, Andreas. Prester John says how did you reply to the abbot, Andreas? Option 1 of 3 I apologized and said I'd avoid unnecessary conversations in the future. Option 2 of 3 I replied that the rule was for him, not for me. I'm an art. Option 2 of 3 I replied that the rule was for him, not for me. I'm an artist, not a monk. Option 3 of 3 I just nodded and kept working. Option 2 of 3 Saint Grobian says and thank Christ for that, ha. Socrates says his calling is to God, yours is to your labor and the illumination that it brings. Beatrice says it's the abbot's house, so everyone has to play by his rules, or rather, the rule. Prester John says despite the abbot's ire, you must endure. Soon you will have finished both the abbot's work as well as your masterpiece. And then you will return to Nuremberg, where marriage and your new life as a master await you. Beatrice says yes, marriage to someone he has never met. Hardly ideal. Socrates says well, the alternative is becoming a philosopher. Saint Grobian says oh, Jesus, then you should definitely get married. Is she pretty, at least? Option 1 of 3 that's what my brother said in his letter, but maybe he's just trying to lift my spirits. Option 2 of 3 the small portrait they sent was lovely, but we artists can be flatterers. Option 3 of 3 oh, who knows? That's not why I'm doing it, anyway. Prestigion says it is growing late. The will of time stops for no man, Andreas. I fear you must leave us. Player says ah, true, your majesty. Prestigion says will you visit us again soon? Option 1 of 3 hopefully, but it's out of my control, your majesty. Option 2 of 3 I don't know, your majesty. Option 3 of 3 well, I can't always dream of this place, your majesty. Prestigion says of course. If you are not here tomorrow night, I pray you will be someplace as pleasant. Grobian, please see Andreas safely home. Saint Grobian says of course, your majesty. Prestigion says until next time, Andreas. Player says until next time, your majesty. Saint Grobian says pay no mind to the other fools, Andreas. Player says I never do. Ow. At least I would if they'd stop stepping on my feet. Watch where you're going. Saint Grobian says he. They're fools, Andreas. No point in trying to teach them anything. I know old John wants you to endure the abbot's shit, but since I take you home, I get the last word. Don't let him run you rag, boy. Option 1 of 3 I won't. The abbot can't push me around. Option 2 of 3 he's just trying to keep order in the abbey. I'm an outsider. Option 3 of 3 it will be fine. I don't want to cause any trouble. Saint Grobian says that's no way to think about it. You need to stand up for yourself. Player says ga. Would you please st? I give up. Take me home, Grobian. Saint Grobian says he. As you wish, Andreas. Player says good morning, Ursula. Ursula says go endure. Player says time to get up. Quests. Go to bed. Go to bed. Options. Main menu. Option. Language. Resolution. Master volume. High contrast. Instant dialogue. Text size. Language. Resolution. Master volume. High contrast. Interactive. Walk toggle. Quick response 1. Quick response 2. Quick mark journal. Next page RT. Journal quests X. Journal map Y. Options. Journal. Go to bed. Maps. Go to bed. Journal. Maps. Journal. Ex libris. Journal. Maps. People. Glossary. Go to bed. Gerdner House. Gerdner House. Ursula. Ursula says Andreer, PPPBBT. Andreer, PPPBBT. Ursula. Journal. Maps. Journal. Journal. Maps. Journal. Ursula. Gerdner guest room. Clara. Clara says good morning, Andreas. Did you sleep well? Option 1 of 3 quite well, actually. Thank you. Option 2 of 3 ordinary, as far as sleeping goes. Option 3 of 3 not well, but there's nothing to be done about it now. Option 1 of 3 quite well. Clara says oh, I'm so glad to hear it. Anyway, I know you'll be off to the Abbey, so I packed you some food. Almonds, cheese, and some of the rye you like from the Albans. Otto wanted me to ask you to join him for dinner at the Abbey. Eva says Otto stopped by. Clara says yes, around dawn. Here you are, Andreas. Option 1 of 2 that's too kind of you, Clara. Option 2 of 2 not. Option 1 of 2 that's too kind of you, Clara. Many thanks. Clara says Master Andreas, if it wouldn't be too much trouble could I mean, could we? Would it be too much trouble if you paid next month's rent today? And if we raised it by 2 groschen? I hate to ask, but we're behind on our taxes to the Abbey. 2 months behind. Peter's losing his hair over it. Even more than usual, I mean. Option 1 of 4 of course. It's no problem at all. Besides, we wouldn't want Peter to lose any more of his precious hair. Option 2 of 4 ER. I suppose that's not out of the question. Yes, I think I can manage that. Option 3 of 4 I can't promise anything. I'll see what I can do. Option 4 of 4 well, wait, were these taxes unexpected? Option 1 of 4 of course. Clara says oh, God bless you, Andreas. And may Saint Luke watch over you today. Speaking of Saint Luke, how is your masterpiece coming along? It's been 2 months now, hasn't it? Player says slowly, I'm afraid. Most of my days are spent doing work for the Abbey. It's only during the Divine Office that Prior Ferenc allows me to work on my masterpiece. A reasonable restriction, but slow going. The City Council doesn't require it to become a master. I'm making it mostly to show clients, and for my own sake. And yes, when I do finish, I will go back to Nuremberg, where I will marry and open a workshop of my own. Clara says from Nuremberg to a university and now traveling the world as an artist. What a life you have ahead of you, Master Andreas. Player says yes, I suppose it does feel like I'm starting a new chapter in my life after. Option 1 of 3. A few missteps. Option 2 of 3. Some wandering. Option 3 of 3. A little too much fun. Clara says it must be rather frightening, starting all over again. Option 1 of 2 I owe it to my family to make something of my life. Option 2 of 2 it is, but I know now that this is what I want to do. Option 1 of 2 I owe it to my family to make something of my life. Player says they helped me even after I dropped out of university. I can't let them down. Clara says I'm sure you make your family proud, Andreas. Anyway, I don't know anything about art, but I've seen you sketching such beautiful things in your little book. Your masterpiece must be wonderful. Option 1 of 3 it is. It's my finest work. Option 2 of 3 it's getting there. Option 3 of 3 well, it's hard to say until it's done. Clara says that's no way to think about it. I'm sure it will be a treasure when it's finished. Now, I have to get back to my own work. Have a good day at the Abbey, Andreas, and we'll see you after Vespers for supper. Player says not tonight, but thank you. Klaus Drucker invited me over for supper. Clara says of course. Please say hello to the Druckers for us. Player says of course. Until later, Clara. Eva. Gertner Farm. Eva. Eva says hello, Andreas. Gertner Farm. Eva. Gertner Farm. Gertner Ursula. Gertner guest room. Gertner guest room. Gertner house. Go to bed. Go to bed. Gertner house. Ursula. Ursula. Gertner guest room. Gertner farm. Gertner house. Big Jörg says morning, Andreas. Player says morning, Big Jörg. How's it going? You working today? Big Jörg says just taking a rest for a bit. Dad's still in the field. He hit a big rock with the plow and it took me Lord knows how long to pull it out. You off to the Abbey? Option 1 of 2 every day but Sunday. Option 2 of 2 where else would I be going? Big Jörg says damn, Andreas, I don't know. Just making conversation. Smells like a storm's coming, no. Player says huh. Just smells like fresh alpine air to me. Options. Language. Resolution. Master volume. High contrast. Options. Big Jörg says you've been traveling too much. Options. Language. Resolution. Master volume. High contrast. Options. Where was it you spent your Wanderjahr before you came to Tassing? Option 1 of 3 Basel. Andreas knows some Italian and French and can reference cultural touchstones from Basel and nearby Bern, Zurich, and Freiburg. Pick option 2 of 3 Low Countries. Andreas knows some Dutch and French and can reference cultural touchstones from Antwerp, Bruges, and Ghent. Option 1 of 3 Basel. Andreas knows some Italian and French and can reference cultural touchstones from Basel and nearby Bern, Zurich, and Freiburg. Option 3 of 3 Italy. Andreas knows Italian, a little Greek, and can reference cultural touchstones from Florence, Venice, and Milan. Option 2 of 3 Low Countries. Andreas knows some Dutch and French and can Option 1 of 3 Basel. Andreas knows some Italian and French and can reference cultural touchstones from Basel and nearby Bern, Zurich, and Freiburg. Option 2 of 3 Low Countries. Andreas knows some. Option 3 of 3 Italy. Andreas knows Italian, a little Greek, and can reference cultural touchstones from Florence, Venice, and Milan. Option 2 of 3 Low Countries. Andreas knows some Dutch and French and can reference cultural touchstones from Antwerp, Bruges, and Ghent. Player says Antwerp, Bruges, and Ghent. All the great art cities of Flanders. Big Yerk says where's that? Player says north and west, down by the sea. Big Yerk says there's your problem. The sea air has confused your sense of smell. Spend enough time in these mountains and you'll be able to smell a storm coming. Player says how long will that take? Big Yerk says 10, 15 years. Player says I don't think I have that long, Big Yerk. Big Yerk says what did you spend all that time in Flanders doing, anyway? Other than art, I mean. Option 1 of 5 hedonist Andreas seeks out pleasure wherever he goes. He is extremely social and quite experienced in all of the enjoyable vices of the world. Pick a background that will affect your character's choices going forward. Press option 2 of 5 craftsman Andreas lives to work and dedicates all of his time to his art. Option 3 of 5 bookworm Andreas spends all of his non-working free time finding and reading as many books as he possibly can. Option 4 of 5 rapscallion Andreas has a penchant for getting involved in petty schemes, pranks, minor crimes, and fistfights. Option 5 of 5 businessman Andreas devotes much of his time to self-promotion, optimizing business expenses, making investments, and balancing his books. Player says learning how to run a business. The art will come with time, but how to manage finances, deal with clients. I have to secure my place in the world when I become a master. That's going to come from coin. Big Yerk says you're a smart man, Andreas. Wish I could say anyone in my family knew anything about business. Most years we barely have enough to get by. The peasant's lot, I suppose. Anyway, I have to get going. Peter says Yerk. Let's go. Big Yerk says Dad's already acting like I'm taking too long even though I did all the work to get that rock out. See you later, Andreas. Player says until later. Journal. Maps. People. Glossary. Journal. Ex Libris. Journal. Maps. People. Glossary. Peep map. Ex Libris. Journal. Ex Libris. Journal. Margins. Town Commons. Gertner Farm. Entries. Entries. Gertner Farm. Entries. Entry says, Andreas. Good timing. Do you have a moment to lend me a hand? Option 1 of 2 of course. Option 2 of 2 I am already late to the abbey. Option 1 of 2 of course. Entry says wonderful. I've got too many irons in the fire. Or rather, shoes. Horseshoes. I miscounted how many I put in. Now I need a hand, else they'll overheat and I won't be able to work the metal. Entry says here, take the shoe and the tongs. Put the hot part of the shoe on the anvil and I'll hit it with the hammer. Faster. Faster. Good. Next one. Faster. Ah, well done. See. Short work. Andrew says thanks for the help, Andreas. I don't know what I was thinking doing all of those at once. It sure would be nice to have someone to help me out here every day. Option 1 of 3, have you considered an apprentice? Option 2 of 3, have you considered a child? Option 3 of 3, Dante, look at me. Option 2 of 3, option 3 of 3, Dante, look at me. Painting is hard enough. Option 2 of 3, have you considered a child? Andrew says well, that's probably a topic for another day. Anyway, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I'll see you and Otto up by the Abbey guest house for dinner. Player says until then. Entries. Gertner Farm. Veronica says, Martin, please. Can you give me a hand here? Martin says, what do you want? I'm keeping an eye on them. Veronica says, that looks a lot like standing there and doing nothing. Eddie says, Martin, for Christ's sake, help your cousin. Veronica says, morning Andreas. Excuse us. One of the fence rails fell and the sheep started hopping it. Option 1 of 3, is there something I can do to help? Option 2 of 3, no, excuse me. I'll try to stay out of your way. Option 3 of 3, Martin, idiot, you going to help them? Option 1 of 3, is there something? Veronica says, have you ever handled sheep before? Option 1 of 2, well, no. Option 2 of 2, good point. Option 1 of 2, well, no. Veronica says then no, but thank you. Christian of you to offer. Eddie says, oh, look, there's something going on up at the Steinauer's place. Martin says, who's that on the horse? Looks rich. Eddie says, I don't know, Martin, but Lucky is giving him an earful. Christ, I haven't seen Lucky that worked up since Peter and Clara's wedding when you unpulled his pants down. Knock 2 of my man's teeth out. You don't want to feel the strength behind a stonemason's anger. Martin says, do you think he's a noble? He looks really rich. Eddie says, God damn it, Martin. Stay out of trouble for once. Martin says, what, Aunt Hetty? Veronica says, behave yourself. Don't we have enough to deal with right now? Eddie says, Andreas, if you wouldn't mind moving your skinny little body up the road, we need to get these sheep under control. Player says, of course. See you later. Option 1 of 3, Dante, work too hard, Martin. Option 2 of 3, good luck. Option 3 of 3, help your aunt and your cousin, alright? Option 2 of 3, good luck. Option 3 of Martin says, eat shit, Andreas. Church and Druckers. Church and Druckers. Town Commons. Drucker House. Claus says, morning, Andreas. How's it going? Player says, morning, Claus. Another day at the Abbey, another few hours to work on my masterpiece. Claus says, good to hear. You still coming by for supper tonight? Marie and Bert would love to see you. You really need to see these new woodcuts I have for an Italian edition of Till You Lent Spigel. Player says, I didn't realize Father Thomas let you print books in Italian. Claus says, come on, Andreas, he's not that strict. I know he's just trying to protect people from. Option 1 of 4, heresy. Option 2 of 4 Witch Mania. Option 3 of 4 Adventure Stories of Questionable Moral Repute. Option 4 of 4 Your Sloppy Typesetting. Option 3 of 4 Adventure Stories of Questionable Moral Repute. Claus says he doesn't mind those so much, actually. Player says no. Claus says as long as they don't get too carnal. Player says oh. Claus says so, supper tonight, after Vespers. Option 1 of 2 of course. Thank you. Option 2 of 2 LLC. Option 1 of 2 of course. Thank you. Claus says great. I'll tell Marie and Bert you're coming. See you then. Player says see you later. Drucker House. Claus. Claus. Claus says morning, Andreas. Thomas says God bless, Master Mailer. I hope your week is going well. Option 1 of 2 thank you, Father. It's going quite well. I'm just on my way up the hill to get to work. Option 2 of 2 thank you, Father, but I'm running late to the Abbey. Option 1 of 2 Thomas says good, good. Andreas, I don't recall seeing you at Sunday morning Mass. You understand how important it is for your salvation that you receive Holy Communion, don't you? Option 1 of 3 yes. I apologize, Father Thomas. I promise you I'll make it this Sunday. Option 2 of 3 I do, but I've been working on sketches late at night and... Option 3 of 3 sigh. Option 2 of 3 I do, but I've been working on sketches late at night and... Option 1 of 3 Thomas says you don't have to make a promise to me, but our salvation is contingent on TH. Oh, my. What a blessed day to receive such an illustrious visitor. Master Mailer, this is Lorenz, Baron of Rothvogel, a great lord from the countryside near Worms. Lorenz says good to see you, Father Thomas. It is nice to be remembered fondly. I only wish all of your neighbors were as welcoming. Thomas says well, yes. What brings you back to our little town? Lorenz says my wife and I were returning from a trip to Venice. We spent a few days in Innsbruck and it was terribly dull. I mean, it has a certain charm common to these Alpine cities, but the place was crawling with nobles for the emperor's diet. Thomas says the emperor. Was he there? Did you see him? Lorenz says oh, briefly, but he was sitting for a portrait at the time. Quite lovely. I didn't want to bother him or the painter. Option 1 of 3 who was the artist, my lord? Option 2 of 3 why was the diet assembled, my lord? Option 3 of 3 say nothing. Option 2 of 3 why was the diet assembled, my lord? Lorenz says oh, nothing you need to worry about. Austrian things. Habsburg things. Boring even for nobles. Anyway, my wife wanted to stay a bit longer in Innsbruck and I decided to ride ahead to make a visit to Kiersau. I heard Father Matthias died shortly after my last visit, of course. Thomas says a great loss for the Abbey and for us all. Lorenz says indeed. By good fortune, I recently came across a copy of the Historia Tascia he was reading during my last visit. Father Matthias was hoping to find a second copy to corroborate the contents of the first. It contains some fascinating details about the history of this place. I'm afraid they might even cause a bit of a scandal, head. Thomas says ah, yes. Lorenz says but I must be off. There will be time enough to discuss Tassing's past later. I commissioned a manuscript from the Abbey through Father Gernot and I have come to check on its progress. Thomas says oh. My lord, if you have come to see your manuscript, you should speak with young Master Mailer here. Option 1 of 2 not quite a true master yet. I still have to marry and be approved by our city council. Option 2 of 2 it is an honor to meet you, my lord. Thomas says Andreas is a journeyman artist from Nuremberg. For the next few months, he's also helping in the Abbey scriptorium. Lorenz says a Nuremberger artist working in an Abbey scriptorium. In 1518? Oh, we should talk, Andreas. I must know the story. Option 1 of 3 of course, my lord. It would be an honor. Option 2 of 3 well, I'm already late to the Abbey but I suppose it's alright. Option 3 of 3 surely my lord would find little entertainment or companionship in me. Option 1 of Lorenz says wonderful. It's so rare to find someone in the countryside who knows anything about art. Thank you for the introduction, Father Thomas. Come to supper at the Abbey tonight. I'm inviting you to the abbot's table. Thomas says is. Did the abbot invite me? Lorenz says oh, don't worry about it, Father. Just show up after Vespers. What is he going to do, refuse us? Thomas says I. Lorenz says excellent. We will see you then. My Claus, I'm dismounting. Run ahead of us and take the horses to the Abbey's guest house. I'd like to take my time talking with Master Mailer. I'll meet you there. My claw says at once, my lord. Laurent says, so then, a journeyman from Nuremberg. Forgive me for saying so, but you seem a little old to not yet be a master. Are you unmarried? Player says, no, I'm not married, but in truth I came to my vocation later than my father and brothers. I was in university for a number of years, at Erfurt. Laurent says, Erfurt. Wonderful. The same university as Martin Luther. Have you read his works? Tremendous mind. He says things about the church that should have been said years ago. Might get him into trouble, but he's a brave, brilliant man. Wait, you may have even met him. Did you? You must tell me. Player says, no. He was a few years ahead of me. Option 1 of 2 still, his ideas do seem fascinating. Option 2 of 2, his ideas don't hold much interest for me, I'm afraid. Option 1 of Laurent says, I agree, wholeheartedly. I simply must meet him if I get the chance. I wonder if the good brothers of the Abbey have heard of him. Perhaps they have even read his list of 95 theses against the church. Father Matthias was not above having a lively debate. I hope Father Gernot does not disappoint in that regard. But enough about Luther for now. Tell me about your university studies. Option 1 of 2, forgive me, Baron, but did you attend university? You seem very well educated. Option 2 of 2, why are you so interested in my education? Laurent says, yes. It must seem strange. I did not attend university, but I had a rich private education at my family's estate. I love all knowledge, from Aristotle and Cicero to Ficino and Erasmus, and everyone in between and yet to come. Player says, I may have misjudged the Baron. It seems he is as well read as any university student. Laurent says, in truth, I am simply happy to speak with another well-educated man. Now then, did you earn your doctorate? Player says, I know, I didn't. Only a master's degree. I started working toward a doctorate, but didn't finish. Laurent says, oh, that's a shame. Well, what was your area of study? Option 1 of 3, theology. Andreas has a strong understanding of Catholic theology, biblical knowledge, canon law, heresies, and similar subjects. Pick a back. Option 2 of 3, imperial law. Andreas knows the basics of the fractured systems of laws that govern the various states of the Holy Roman Empire. Option 3 of 3, medicine. Andreas is familiar with the basics of human biology, medicine, and illness. Player says, all things medical, studying the latest and greatest texts coming out of Italy. Laurent says, yes. The Italians continue to innovate in that area. Extraordinary, really. Fascinating work. Who knows what secrets we may learn about the human body in the decades to come. Attilia says, you. If I had any faith I would have prayed you'd never show your face here again. Curse you, Laurent Rotvogel. Which this dog's tearing you to pieces would be too kind of fate. Laurent says, these rustic communities display a shocking lack of hospitality, don't you think? Option 1 of 2, what was that about? Option 2 of 2, say nothing. Laurent says. Well, what of your early time in university? Every student must study the trivium and quadrivium, yes. Did you have a favorite subject? Option 1 of 5, Latinist. Andreas has a strong command of Latin grammar and vocabulary. He can also easily recall sententiae antiqui, quoted words of wisdom from the Roman Republic and Empire. Pick a background that will affect your character's choices going forward. Press and hold to confirm your choice. Option 2 of 5, logician. Andreas instinctively thinks through the implications of information as he receives it, is adept at spatial analysis, and can easily perform complicated calculations in his head. Option 3 of 5, orator. Andreas excelled at rhetoric in university. He is a skilled teacher, persuader, and public speaker. Option 4 of 5, occultist. Andreas knows a soul-endangering amount of theoretical and practical knowledge on alchemy, astrology, theurgy, necromancy, and various magical rites and ceremonies. Option 5 of 5, heavens and earth. Andreas knows a great deal about the constellations, heavenly bodies, and their movement. He is also familiar with various plants and animals from study and personal experience. Option 4 of 5, occultist. Andreas knows a soul-endangering amount of. Player says, I used my access to the university's library to pursue more esoteric interests. Laurent says, oh? Esoteric how? Player says, mystical texts. Books on alchemy, invoking spirits, divination, purely academic, of course. Laurent says, of course. Player says, I started with Ficino's Corpus Hermeticum and my interest only deepened from there. Laurent says, quite interesting, Andreas. I'll make some time to speak with you more on this topic during my stay. Option 1 of 3, I look forward to it, my lord. Option 2 of 3, as you wish, my lord. Option 3 of 3, please be discreet about it, my lord. Option 2 of 3, as you wish, my lord. Laurent says, and your other studies? Was there anything else you excelled at? Option 1 of 4 Latinist Andreas has a strong command of Latin grammar and vocabulary. He can also easily recall sententii antiqui, quoted words of wisdom from the Roman Republic and Empire. Pick a background and Option 2 of 4 Logician Andreas instinctively thinks through the implications of information as he receives it, is adept at spatial analysis, and can easily perform complicated calculations in his head. Option 3 of 4 Orator Andreas excelled at rhetoric in university. He is a skilled teacher, persuader, and public speaker. Option 4 of 4 Heavens and Earth Andreas knows a great deal about the constellations, heavenly bodies, and their movement. He is Option 3 of 4 Orator Option 4 of 4 Heavens and Earth Andreas knows a great deal about the constellations, heavenly bodies, and their movement. He is also familiar with various plants and animals from study and personal experience. Option 3 of 4 Orator Andreas excelled at rhetoric in university. Player says the art of persuasion, naturally. Rhetoric. Laurent says I assume you studied the Greeks and Romans both. Player says yes, Aristotle and Cicero, of course, but also Christian thinkers like Augustine and Thomas Aquinas. Laurent says true, we have less use for public discourse than senators did in the Roman Republic. Player says exactly. The doctors of the church weren't trying to persuade politicians, but to move the mind toward Christian truth. Still, the principles remain the same. Invent your arguments, then arrange, style, and internalize them before delivering them to your audience. Laurent says splendid, though I suppose an artist has little use for rhetoric, especially in a place such as this. Player says not true. Rhetoric is also an art. And like other forms of art, it should be created for the audience and its purpose. It can be practiced as easily in the streets of a rural town as in the Curia of Rome. Laurent says well put. There's the abbey. I have good memories of this place, and of Father Matthias. I was sad to hear of his passing. Player says how did you come to know him? How did you come to know of Piersa at all? Laurent says my family have been patrons of Piersa for, I don't know how many generations. Some years ago I heard that Piersa still had a wonderful library and artisans. Professional artists have taken over most manuscript production, so I was shocked to find an active scriptorium here. Option 1 of 3 well, there's not much left of it these days. 2 old men, a young scribe, and me. Option 2 of 3 this is as good a place as any to create art. Option 3 of 3 the artists that remain here are quite talented, if a bit old-fashioned. Option 2 of 3 this is as Laurent says certainly, though I'm sure you miss the comforts of Nuremberg when you're stuck in a drafty old abbey like this. Option 1 of 2 I'll get back there soon enough. I'm in no rush. Option 2 of 2 I do, but the abbot is paying good money, good enough to put up with a bit of discomfort. Option 1 of 2 I'll get back to Laurent says that's good for me since I still appreciate the abbey's work. I commissioned a manuscript through Father Gernot a year ago. I thought I would stop by and check on the progress. Wait, are you the artist working on it? It's a prayer book with 20 illustrations. Player says I know the work, but no. I do know the artist well, the Venerable Brother Piero. Laurent says how venerable? Player says he still has his wits and his skills, if that's what concerns you. Brother Piero has an incredible talent with color. Laurent says then I very much look forward to seeing it. Laurent says my claws, tend to the horses and the baggage. I'm heading up to the abbey. My claw says yes, my lord. Laurent says well, let's not keep the abbot waiting any longer. Nuns. Quite unusual for a Benedictine house to have monks and nuns, even if they are separated. The church closed most of them centuries ago. But then, Piersa is a place out of time in more ways than one. Option 1 of 3 do you know Mother Cecilia? She seemed to recognize you. Option 2 of 3 why were they closed? Option 3 of 3 say nothing. Option 1 of 3 do you know Mother Cecilia? She seemed to recognize you. Laurent says we are acquainted, yes. Let's leave it at that. You must be Father Gernot. I am Laurent, Baron of... Gernot says yes, the Baron of Rothvogel. So wonderful to have you here again, we actually did meet on your last visit. Laurent says if you say so. I am not good with remembering faces. Gernot says please forgive me, my lord, but I wasn't expecting you for another few days. Laurent says yes, I know, but I rode ahead. I just couldn't wait to see my manuscript. I'm sure it's no trouble. Gernot says yes. I mean, no. It's no trouble. Did you want to see it now? Laurent says oh, in a moment. I could do with a bit of refreshment, though. May I grab something from the kitchen? Gernot says. Yes. Certainly, my lord. I will meet you there. Andreas? I don't know what you were doing with the Baron, but I need you in the scriptorium, now. Option 1 of 3 of course, father. I'm eager to get to work. Option 2 of 3 why are you taking this out on me? He's not my problem. Option 3 of 3. Is this a bad time to ask for an advance on my payment for the Book of Hours? Option 1 of 3. Gernot says then get to work. Player says shit. I should have asked him about an advance for the Gertner's taxes. Maybe I could just convince Brother Matthew to pay me early. Lower Abbey. Church. Cloister. Upper Abbey. Infirmary. Chapter House. Infirmary. Upper Abbey. Church. Lower Abbey. Shrine. Convent Garden. Shrine.